Hello, it's Josh Keegan here. It has been a massive weekend in space news, with SpaceX not only successfully launching but also docking its Dragon 2 capsule to the International Space Station in preparation to deliver astronauts under the Commercial Crew Program. While here in Australia, our Chief Air Marshal for the Australian Air Force has signalled our expansion into space. Wait, what? Australia is getting into space? How is this possible? We're going to be launching from our own country? We're going to be launching from our own soil? How is this possible? It's time to grab a cup of coffee, or at least your favourite beverage, and get settled in as I unpack this massive, massive weekend in space. Over the weekend, SpaceX launched its DM-1 mission, or Demonstration Mission 1, to the International Space Station from historic Pad 39A at Cape Canaveral, with a new version of its Dragon on top. This new version of Dragon, known as Dragon 2, is capable of launching astronauts. The US has actually been missing this key capability since 2011, when the iconic space shuttle was retired, relying on a Russian-built Soyuz to ferry its astronauts to and from the International Space Station. SpaceX has been developing the Dragon 2, evolving it from its original cargo design after being awarded the Commercial Crew Program contract in 2014. It's actually worth noting at this point that a number of other companies were also awarded differing amounts of money to foster research and development into human spaceflight. Not only SpaceX, but also in the end, both Boeing and SpaceX were awarded the final contract. Now, I have followed SpaceX for a number of years, and I've been very impressed with the amount of video it shares during each and every launch. I'm also impressed that it's all in metric. Metric. It is great. Every average Aussie can understand it without having to do mental conversions. Over the weekend, I also got to see an extraordinary detail of not only the launch of the Dragon 2 via the SpaceX livestream, but also the docking to the International Space Station via NASA's livestream. It was the first time the Dragon has docked with the International Space Station, as previously a cargo version has come within a few metres of the station before being grappled by the Canadarm and brought in to be berthed or attached to the ISS. SpaceX was also able to offer a unique view from inside the Dragon 2 during launch, as a video camera was streaming images of Ripley. Ripley was a crash test dummy which is actually covered with sensors measuring the effects of the launch on the human body, or the soon-to-be human bodies. With Ripley, there was also a zero-G indicator, a toy of Earth which would float free once Dragon had reached a point where gravity no longer maintained a secure grip. The astronauts on the ISS were able to enter into the Dragon 2 after a few hours after docking, completing a vital portion of the DM-1 mission before it returned to Earth in around about 5 odd days. I will be following the Dragon 2 on Twitter and following any live streaming that SpaceX or NASA will have, staying up late because of time zones, to try and capture every element myself. The other big news over the weekend is it being our own Chief Air Marshal for the Australian Air Force announcing that we need to have more involvement in the new commercial space race. Wait, what? We're getting into commercial space race? This country? Things are going to be launched from Australian soil? This is epic. And this was even before the events of SpaceX and Dragon 2 spacecraft, and it was early Sunday morning here in Australia, or around about 3 p.m. Central Time on Saturday in the United States, when our own Leo Davis, the Chief Air Marshal of Australian Air Force, has said space is one of those domains that needs to expand. Our understanding of what is in the sky above us is important. This announcement was made at the Avalon Air Show. It's one of the biggest gatherings of aviation companies in the Southern Hemisphere, involving people from all over the globe. So Australia has always been involved in the space exploration, where the geographic location of this country means we're in the perfect position to support other nations in their space streams, especially when they go to deep space. In an upcoming video, I'll be diving into a surprising amount of detail about Australia's involvement in the space industry that has been going on since the 1950s. The first indicators of something like this was going to happen occurred in 2017, when the Australian federal government officially announced the formation of the Australian Space Agency, which quickly developed a mantra of growing a globally respected Australian space industry. Since this time, activity has been growing in this sector, with the most visible being Gilmour Space, based right here in Queensland in a suburb called Pimpama. Gilmour Space was founded in Singapore in 2012 by a former banker, Adam Gilmour. His brother, and now CEO James Gilmour, have set up Australian operations. Gilmour Space has developed high-fidelity spaceflight simulators and detailed replicas of space-related hardware. In 2015, they began a rocket development program. It was during the Avalon Air Show that Gilmour Space actually affirmed that they are looking to launch a sounding rocket by the name of Ariel in early 2019, capable of suborbital launches. Looking into the Gilmour Space website, I found an even bigger 3-stage Ares rocket capable of launches to low Earth orbit. Both rockets are liquid-fueled, providing greater control, throttling and thrust vectoring than a solid rocket engine, and is very similar to SpaceX's capability with its Falcon 9. Both rockets will be using the G70 hybrid engine, capable of developing 560 kilonewtons of thrust at sea level and fueled by liquid hydrogen peroxide, the same fuel as used in the first stage of the Soyuz launch vehicle. According to Gilmour Space's website, the Ares will possess specific impulse of 235 seconds on the first stage, 300 seconds on the second stage, and 320 seconds on the third stage. This is new and this is epic. My country of only 24.6 million people will finally be entering into the commercial space sector, as it seems that every other country on this planet it seems to be doing, and will be launching satellites from Australian soil. The best news for me is that I won't have to visit a foreign country every time I want to see a rocket launch. I can do it right from here. If you want to know more about Australia's involvement in the space race, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you like this video, please share a comment below. And if you're an Australian business doing something in the space industry and you want everyone to know about it, please send me an email. As always, a huge thank you goes out to my Patreon supporters who help me make this and other content possible. If you want to help out, please go to patreon.com/Josh Keegan, where you can help script and plan videos exactly like this one. Well, I think that's enough for me. I'm Josh Keegan. Remember, stay caffeinated.